What's up, guys? This is Carter Thomas with Coin Mastery TV. Make sure you go sign up for the PDF and for the newsletter at coinmastery.com/invest. And make sure you subscribe for the podcast at coinmastery.com/iTunes. If you're on YouTube, hit the subscribe button. Much appreciated. And this is great. Thanks everyone for the 10K high fives. It's been an awesome journey. I think we're going to get to 20 pretty quickly. So thank you so much. What a great ride it's been. I'm still getting all your emails. I will get to those. I'm a little under the weather today, kind of ironically after yesterday's talk about health. So it goes. Today what we're talking about is similar to what we mentioned yesterday about how the front page of Bittrex is really becoming a marketing platform. How these things are spiking like crazy. We're going to talk a little bit about Bitcoin Cash, what that means for you, what the future is it a good investment? And then I want to talk about a few other pieces of news that I think are noteworthy. And then I want to talk to you about a couple ICO, or not ICOs, but like small cap coins. And I want to talk about really an investing thesis, and not only what an investing thesis means, but what mine is, and hopefully enough information that you can potentially make one for yourself, which I think you'll find to be really interesting and really helpful when you're making your decisions, especially on the smaller stuff. One thing I do want to be super conscious of is that I don't really like to talk about the things that I've purchased because I don't want this to seem like I am trying to get you guys to purchase it. So please know that anything that I talk about, specifically the coins that I talk about, and if I tell you that I have bought them or I'm going to buy them, I'm not trying. Please do it at your own discretion. This is not any I'm not trying to get anyone to buy anything to drive the price up by any means. In the future, I want to talk about coins that I don't own, which is kind of a double-edged sword because you're going to probably like, why aren't you buying it if you think this is a good one? And that's only just because there's only so many hours in a day, and I'd rather focus on a few, even though there are better opportunities. So I want to balance that out. Some that I do own, some that I don't, so that this does look, or this is objective, right? It's not me trying to put anything on. But I just want to have that qualifier because it's really important that you guys know that there is no motives here, and if I ever am going to profit off of anything that I talk about, you'll know about it. So I just want to be clear about that. So yesterday, really amazing to watch. I mean, we talk a lot about emotions. We talk a lot about how people really drive these markets, and I think yesterday was it was such an amazing display of this happening. And I think it's always important to remember that there's a lot of different groups of people out there similar to us. Like, this is obviously a worldwide community. You watching this, you may be in the United States, you may be in Europe, you may be in Asia, Australia, South America, everywhere. So there's a global community, but you also got to realize that there's a huge global community that isn't on Facebook, right? That they have created their own networks, right? It's big in China, big in Indonesia, places like that, Korea, where they are just as emotional. They're all human beings too, and they are moving a lot of this volume. So while I do think it's important to go on Twitter and Facebook and Reddit and all these platforms and see the sentiment, which I talk about, I think that it's really powerful. Remember that there's a huge amount of people that we don't know, like we don't see, we don't have access to, we don't see them on Facebook. We're not in the same friends with them or in the groups with them or whatever, but they still have the same emotion. So when you see numbers like this, right, like, I mean, ADX, right, 12,000 Bitcoin volume in one day, you start to do the math on that and you realize it's going to take a lot of people. It's okay. Just realize that it's the same people in different places doing the same stuff, and this exact same behavior will consistently happen. That's what makes the markets. And you can always rely on that. History has proven you can always rely on that. So it's not necessarily whales all the time. It's just there's huge amounts of people that we don't even see. I think I read somewhere Bittrex is doing 30,000 transactions a second right now. So it's no joke. Let's just look and see what happened. If you weren't following what happened yesterday, there was obviously like a major spike in ADX. And if you guys are on Facebook or on Twitter, you can go, and anybody who's talking about this, especially on Facebook, it seems to be more of an emotional platform. My theory is that Facebook is what you feel, Twitter is what you think, and Instagram is who you wish you were, right? Those, like, that's kind of the thing. So I always look at Facebook for the emotional stuff because people are way more emotional. And on Twitter, it's much more of like a cerebral conversation. I also think that's why advertising doesn't work as well on Twitter. But anyway, if you go on Facebook and you find groups that were either hyped up or pumping this or whatever, you can just see, just look at the comments of people that were writing this. And if you follow me on Twitter, twitter.com/Carter Thomas, you'll know that while this was happening, I was tweeting, I was like, don't chase these candles. I know how tempting it is. And I know that many of you can chase the candles and have probably made money doing it. I have. I think a lot of people have. But the reason why is because when we talked about, you get in these habits, it's so hard to break from them. It's so difficult to unlearn that behavior. And so the more you can just watch these and know that there's going to be many more opportunities, the more you are going to not only make more money, but you're not going to lose money. So this obviously happened. We did a little kind of what turned out to not be like the most accurate, like not accurate, but like the technical analysis I did, I just wasn't, I got a lot of work to do basically, but you know, this was it. Like, and here's the big dip, right? We always talk about doing the big dip. So this is the key, right? Being able to look back and remember how you felt when it was going up. I think that's important. I was a very competitive sprinter, and visualization was really the key to success. So I think it's always helpful to look back, not always think about, well, when's the next big thing, but look back and like really audit yourself and think about, how did I feel when this happened? How did I feel when this happened, right? I take notes a lot of, okay, it's going up like crazy. Here's how it feels right now. And that might sound a little whooshy, you know, you're going to a therapist type thing. It's not. This is a game of emotions. Like, this is what it is. And if you can win that game, you're going to make a lot of money. So I think it's just really important. And then also what it felt like to watch this thing go down. Were you happy? Were you relieved? If you bought it, how did it feel to hold those bags of coins, right? So that's the first kind of thing. We talked about this as DNT. By the way, let's see here. With DNT, it's also really interesting because, click on log out there just to make sure that that's all set. All right, whatever. You look at DNT, remember we talked about this? How it hit the dip. Look what happened today. Boom. So it looks like this dip is starting to come back. We're starting to make some potential money here. So dips always come, you guys. Like, it's never just going to keep going up. The dips always come. So just buy the dips. Like, I'm not endorsing ADX. Obviously I endorsed DNT, but I was like, guys, just wait for the dips. Like, they come. Even if you bought right here, it would have worked out because that was a dip. Like, buy the dips. So the other part of the story is, let's go back to Bittrex. I think, like we talked about, the dips happen, but where does that volume happen? So I don't think I don't think it was exclusively that ADX was just a pump and dump. I think that it was the opportunity seeking, right? So I think that it pumped and people started to see all this, you know, they started to see it dropping a little bit. And at the exact same time, maybe consciously, maybe not, Bitcoin Cash goes bananas, right? It goes through the roof. And you could watch this in real time, as we tweeted about. Like the volume was moving out of ADX and moving into Bitcoin Cash. Like, it was like you can't write this stuff. It was crazy. The other thing you can also do if you want to third party this is go to coinmarketcap.com and watch the overall market cap and how that changes. Because if the market cap doesn't change, but you're seeing the volume switching, that means it's just money moving back and forth. If the market cap's going up and you see prices going up, that's fresh money, right? So that's a kind of a loose way to gauge overall market growth. Like, is money just moving around, which is what's really happening right now, or is it getting way bigger? So that's typically how you can kind of create an intuition about market forces on top of looking at trend lines and, you know, doing poorly designed charts like I did yesterday. But it's crazy, right? The news behind Bitcoin Cash is nothing new. I mean, it is new. I shouldn't say that. But I mean, I've been talking about this for weeks now, about how I never thought this was dead. I do not know if this is going to continue, but I do think that this is proof that Roger is serious, and that there is in very quickly, this can become the #1 volume coin by a long shot and pump some major volume and major money into this, right? The blockchain, the Bitcoin Cash is almost becoming more profitable. It might even be more profitable than mining Bitcoin now. There's a lot of power that these guys have. So it's just crazy to watch these happen. And so, you know, you watch things like OMG drop, and everyone's like, oh, OMG is done. And you're like, no. It's just that people just sold this because they saw this going up. They sold OMG to go get this 72%. And you would be, maybe you wouldn't be amazed at how often that happens, and how we all think that it wouldn't happen to us, but it does. Especially like we talk about when you're tired, when you feel like you just need that hit, you just need that one win. That's when you get nailed. That's when you lose your money. So that's what I'm looking out for, or that's what I'm watching, I should say. I'm just really, I personally am just sitting back and letting this thing ride. The one thing I will do is I'm gonna keep an eye on ARK, because I still own a bunch of ARK, and if this spikes, I'll probably sell a little bit more of that, just because I think 50 was a good point of resistance. So if it breaks through 50, I'm gonna check that out. But everything else, I'm still sitting. You know, again, Civic, I think, is still it's just kind of a sleeping giant. But yeah, and again, like, look at me right now. I'm only really focusing on the first page, is what everyone does. So you can dive into the second pages, but I'm not really trying to play this game. My big move right now is preparing for the next major thing. I don't know what that is. Is it going to go way up? Maybe. Is it going to go way down? Maybe. Oh, sorry about that. I personally think it's going to go up a little bit more, and then it's going to drop. But, you know, either way, that's really my plan. So I'm kind of stepping away from trying to play this game and figure out which one's the right one and which one's the hot coin. Like, this is not the right market to try to do that in, for me at least. Some people, you know, you love that stuff. That's fine. I'm not here to judge anybody, but that's that, right? So I'm really kind of looking at this and just making sure that this works. But yeah, stoked on that DNT play. Okay, another piece of news you should check out is, I think that this is a big deal, personally. Many of you remember, maybe a month ago, maybe less than that, a couple weeks ago, the SEC issued kind of a warning statement to ICOs and to securities, or to coins, specifically in the United States, that said, you know, you got to be careful about whether or not you're a security or not. What that means is, if you're a security, you're going to get regulated, and you're going to be a credit investor. You got to play by the rules of things that, like the stock market or venture capital or whatever. But they didn't drop a hammer. They just said, hey, look, we're watching this. You know, be smart about this. ShapeShift. If you don't know what ShapeShift is, it's I should just go here. You can click on, you can like convert, if you have some Bitcoin, you can convert Bitcoin into Ethereum or like any of these coins very, very quickly. So you don't have to go into an exchange. You can just do it really easily. They charge probably like 0.5% as your fee, as opposed to Bittrex, which do 0.25%. Just make it a lot easier. It's like a quick way to do it. Eric Voorhees is a really good guy, smart guy. I've never met him, but I've listened to a lot of his podcasts and his stuff. He's a smart dude. They released this yesterday. ShapeShift. So see, let me also preface this. These guys are releasing a lot of new products around investing, right? You can go check out Prism, Prism, which is kind of like an index fund type of situation. They're releasing a few other things, but their exchange is obviously their biggest moneymaker. But they released this, and what this really says, you can go read it if you want, it's on their blog, is we're going to delist any coins that do not follow what's called the Howey test, which is a way to determine if something is a security or not. So think about that. ShapeShift, I don't know what, I think they do maybe 1% or some pretty big percentage of crypto transactions go through ShapeShift, and Changelly is another one. And the fact that they're coming out and saying like, you know, we're going to cover ourselves, we're not going to do this, that's a huge deal, right? Bitfinex did this last week. They said, listen, we're shutting it down for US customers. You got 90 days or whatever, and we're not going to let certain securities on here. They're covering themselves because I believe they're US based. I don't know. But either way, they're like, we do not want the SEC coming after us. Who do you think the next big target's going to be? I'll give you one. I mean, I'm looking at it. There's one big guess, right? These guys, they are based in the United States. I'm almost positive. They list the most. They're getting all the volume. It's the biggest game in town. They must be thinking about this in a pretty, you know, they're definitely thinking about how do we cover ourselves in terms of regulation. I can also tell you, I should probably pull this up. Let me see. Brian Anderson, AMA. Brian Anderson, he is the, let me see, Coinbase. He is the founder of Coinbase. He didn't ask me anything on, I want to say Product Hunt. And someone asked him, when are you, is this it? Yeah, I think that this is it. Yeah, so you can go here, producthunt.com/live/Brian-Armstrong. So he's the founder CEO of Coinbase. And someone asked him, where is it? About the SEC announcement, and also which coins are you going to list? And he had a really good response. You can check this out here. We're not disclosing it. I can tell you how we generally think about this. Point-based system, consumer interest, trading volume, compliance risk, security audits, and team behind the coin, how much it'll work. So this is a really helpful. You can go check this out. I think this is a really good insight. But realize that Coinbase, they're a $1.6 billion company now. They're getting all this investment. The number one threat for them is regulation. Okay, ShapeShift, complying. Bitfinex, complying. Bittrex is probably going to be there. Like at some point, it's probably going to happen. At the very least, they're going to delist certain coins, and then who knows that that's going to make a big implication on Coinbase for you guys. If you're trying to play the game of what's going to be on Coinbase, it's funny because they might like whatever they delist on ShapeShift. Some people might, the price might go down, might go up. I don't know. But that's going to be a really good indicator of very quickly separating what is considered a security and what's not. And the ones that are not considered a security have the biggest future on these kind of centralized exchanges. So I know this is a lot of info. I think that this is just following the wormhole, right? This is just logically making predictions, putting yourself in these guys' shoes, and realizing the compliance and regulation is a real thing, and it's not something you want to mess around with. So the other thing, I mean, that's probably the biggest reason why I bought 0x, is because it's a way to decentralize exchanges, and that's why 0x did the whole crowd sale the way they did it, is because they made, like, we're not a security, everybody has access to this, we're just funding, whatever. That's why 0x has potential, because if they can decentralize exchanges, if all these exchanges all of a sudden can't hold certain coins, and then you get decentralized exchanges that can pop up that will, you get this whole just crazy democratization of the coins itself. And who knows how that plays out, but watching these are the big moves that you can front run, right? Like you can predict these kind of things and stay ahead of the game. And I keep watching and looking through, okay, well, which coins is ShapeShift going to delist? How does that impact my Bittrex account? Which one should I hold? Things like that. Okay, let's see here. I think the second to last thing I want to talk about before we get into the coin picks or whatever, lotto. I'm actually going to call it lottery picks because these are going to be like legit lotto picks. First of all, I was not good at history. I had a hard time remembering like all the dates and stuff, but I do find history really, really, really fascinating, especially as somebody, as an investor and as a marketer, like somebody who deals with humans and emotions all day. And I love it, right? Like I love that stuff. But if you really, I'm not saying you should ever go through and read this ridiculous list of revolutions, but I think it's important to get an understanding of why revolutions happen. And I think that there's a lot of different people that would give you a lot of different explanations. My take on revolutions is that it's always about a combination of power, money, and status, right? I think religion can get put in there, but I would roll that under power and status, right? But power, money, and status, and that kind of spreads the gamut of micro to macro. And that's really what's always happened throughout history. I personally think that this whole blockchain, Bitcoin revolution is less of a financial revolution and it's more of a sociological revolution. It is a group of people, engineer types, or people that have in many ways been oppressed by banks, by governments, by the rich sales type of person, and it's that shift. Now I'm not trying to make a political statement here. I'm not saying I agree or disagree with any of this. This is just what I see. And I think that there's a bigger thing going on with what blockchain is and what's going to make blockchain successful, is that revolution type of feel. So when I see coins, and when I see teams, and when I see mission statements that are founded by people that I think on Friday night hang out with other people and they treat what they're doing as if they are part of a revolution, that to me is a thumbs up. That is when I think that these guys or these women or men or women, doesn't matter, they're going to do something very important, because I think that that's the energy that this world is really built on for the ones that are going to go big. I think that NEO is an amazing example of this, in that I think that China feels like it has been pushed down for so long, and now they have this new power of money and influence. And NEO is just like a personification of this. We want to be in charge, right? You see the news coming out about, or rumors, yesterday, North Korea is saying that they're mining huge amounts of Bitcoin. Russia is mining huge amounts of Bitcoin. I think that it is all about this new power dynamic. Okay, now this is one man's opinion. I don't know. You can make your own decisions on that. But that is really what the thesis that I have. And the reason why I bring this up is because when you talk to any investment fund, I've talked to plenty of crypto investment funds. I've talked to many private equity, hedge funds, pretty much everyone that invests money as a fund. And they always have a thesis. And what a thesis means is, what is the underlying promise of your fund? For example, a private equity or a hedge fund will probably say, well, we beat the S&P 500 every year. Your money is better here than in an index fund. A crypto fund may say, we will beat returns of holding Bitcoin. That's it, right? Now it can get more complicated than that or whatever, but that's really it. Like, it's a thesis. Like, that's the idea that the money is fueling with the promise of returns, right? A thesis that I have grown to adopt, and this is a big reason why I own Monero and a few other coins in that space that really aren't doing anything right now, is I love to put money into small coins that are built on this idea of creating some sort of revolution, right? It takes people that are currently, I don't want to say oppressed, but people that are seemingly on the bottom, or they feel like they're on the bottom in some way, and the coin will lift them up. Like that's why Bitcoin is so powerful, because it's like that is the ultimate promise, is that it's going to be the cyberpunks taking over the banking system, right? That's a huge swing. That's why it's like the biggest one. And then Ethereum is going to take over whatever. And so that is the premise that I always follow. That's why I don't like certain ICOs, that it's kind of changing the way certain industries are done, right? Like, what's the new one? Agrello, right? Where they're like, well, we're taking law firms and we're revolutionizing it to put it on smart contracts. Great, that may work. I don't know, but lawyers do not feel like they are being oppressed right now, right? But when I see something like Mothership, which I'll talk about, it's like this country, or Neo, or some of the other Chinese companies like Bytem and others like that, they do feel like they're being oppressed. And that to me is a really good opportunity. So that is why I picked up Mothership. Again, guys, I'm not saying you should go buy this by any means. This is just something that I tweeted about a couple days ago. I didn't buy it. I did buy in the dip, which I'll show you, which you make your own decisions here, but I'm not trying to like pump this or anything. This is just the best example. And I'll try to be as objective as I can about this. But so what's interesting, and one reason why you might not want to buy it, why this is a huge lotto ticket, is that they don't actually have like a working product yet, right? So that may be a red flag for a lot of people. Depends on your thesis, right? So it's you can go read through it and everything else like that. They had an ICO, but it's really just a platform, like a payment system and everything. But it's built for Estonia. Now, a lot of people who see this are like, how big is Estonia? They're like, what the hell are they doing? But the one thing that got me to buy it was that the government of Estonia publicly said that they want to get into e-residency, which means that they basically want to like digitize everything about your citizenship, your identity, kind of like what Civic does, but more of on like a municipal level, right, as a government level. And so they're going to use Mothership as their test bed to do all this. So the entire government. So I look at this, and I did a little research on Estonia. They're a pretty small country, but they must be in the EU, and they must just be the small little, oh yeah, sidekick whatever country. And I don't know if they like what the population is like or what the political climate is like and whatever, but they must love this idea of being one of the forefronts in the European Union. The same way if I saw Venezuela getting behind one particular type of crypto, like that would be an awesome buy, right? Or Bolivia, I mean, like any of these countries that are seemingly not the powers, like Brazil would be. So this is really interesting to me because of that thesis. And that's why I bought it. And I also want you guys just to see like how decisions can be made that are beyond just, well, what's the product do? Who's on the team? I mean, the bigger picture of what's really driving, like why are people, specifically, why are these guys, or why is the government, why are they going to get up every day and make this happen? And I believe it's because they love their country and they want that. They want to rise as a country, and that is a very, very powerful motivator. And so that's why I bought it. And when I tweeted, I think it was like right here, maybe, I can't remember exactly. And I said, look, I think Mothership is a great one. The market cap is pretty small. It's probably down to like 20 million. And it's like, look, if it dips, this is going to be great. So I think I bought this dip, and I'll probably be buying more on this dip. Listen, oh no, this is no, this is right. Why does it say Litecoin right there? Anyway, I mean, it is what it is. But let me try to do this. But yeah, I don't know why it says that. I just want to make sure that I'm showing. I guess they're all like that. But no, the coin doesn't switch. That's ridiculous. I just want to make sure that you guys get the right charts here. Now, where is it? Mothership. pull this up. Let's try that. Hopefully that works. There we go. This looks, yeah, this looks right. So I bought right here. Yeah, okay, this is what I want to say. This is against ETH. And then now it's tanking pretty good, right? So this is a 1-day chart. Let's do the 30-minute chart. I bought here, and then now it's coming back down. So I'll probably buy some more on this dip. But again, guys, I'm not trying to, please make your own decisions. I have no idea. This could go to 0. This is a highly risky bet, but it's built on my thesis. Like, revolutionize, at least for the small coins and things like that. So I thought it was interesting. I would love to hear what you guys have, what your thesis is, right? What is the, if you were going to start a fund, what makes your fund different? What are you investing in that's going to drive these returns? Maybe it's incredible technical analysis. Maybe it's ERC20 tokens. Maybe you just buy all the ERC20 tokens. Maybe it's just investing in whatever Coinbase has. I mean, whatever. I do not know if this is going to work, but I do think that history has shown, same with Bitcoin Cash, right? Which I think that's like another kind of revolution that's happening. That's an interesting way, or at least I find it interesting. So yeah, rock and roll. I hope you guys have a great weekend. Take some time to get outside, enjoy it. I think that best thing you can do every single day, have your plan. What am I going to do if this thing, if Bitcoin goes up to 5,000 tomorrow? What am I going to do if it goes down to 3,000? And anything in between. Keep thinking that way. Keep writing it down. Keep getting used to that. Get away from the charts. Get away from the volume. Get away from the hype. It's just noise. You don't need it. Yeah, you just need a plan. You need a strategy. Buy the dips. Stay smart. And hopefully that'll help with everything. Cool, guys. Well, I hope you have a great day. And I hope you have a great weekend. If you haven't already, make sure you subscribe to YouTube. Go to coinmastery.com/YouTube. Hit that subscribe button and tell your friends. If you find these videos valuable, please tell your friends. Tell them to come check it out and subscribe and leave a comment, introduce themselves. It's always great to hear from you guys. So peace out. Stay smart. Stay profitable. Buy the dips. Peace out.